AskReddit, what's the craziest reason you had to fire someone? Subscriber all and humanity. I'm training a new girl. We're sitting at a computer together. The whole time I'm training her, she's scanning the perimeter around her. She's asking about this guy. Is he single? What about that guy? She's paying very little to no attention to what I'm telling her about. You know, the job. She's not even looking at what I'm doing as I'm demonstrating the work to her. She's rubbernecking every male who walks past. At first I was nice. Okay, did you see what I just did there? Now when this happens, we do that, etc., etc. Her eyes were glazed over. She wasn't absorbing anything. I could tell. Nice wasn't working. After a time, I said to her very sharply, "Are you here to work? Or are you here looking for a boyfriend? Because if you're not here to work, I'm going to need to find someone else for this job." I had hiring authority. Quote, that snapped her into reality for about 15 minutes. I finally said, "It's break time." She smiled and said, "I'm going to go up to the 4th floor and see if there's any fresh meat up there." After break time, I sent her into the fax room to collect some faxes I needed. The mail guy was in there changing rolls of fax paper. He came out of the mail room and said, "I think there's something wrong with your new girl." He was very nervous. I said, "What happened?" Apparently she was in the fax room, which tended to get hot because of all the machines in there. She had perched her ass up on the edge of the table, hiked her dress up to where her underwear was showing, arched her back, unbuttoned the front of her dress, and fanned herself with a sheaf of fax pages and said, "Oh, it's just so hot in here." Yeah, like that. Like the opening of a porno. I totally believed. Hi monsieur, I believed she did that. 100%. She totally did that. I called her temp agency and said she's not working out. I think this was under 2 hours. I have stories about temps for days, lol. Years ago, at a lumber company, had a guy, less than 2 hours after he started on his first day, pick up his car with a forklift and stand underneath it to see what was rattling when he drove. We had someone fall asleep at his desk with a lit cigarette in his hand. In an office full of cubicles like maybe 6 to 7 years ago. Smoking wasn't legal anywhere indoors, let alone in an office building, LMAO. And the first time he wasn't even fired. He was fired when it happened again. I worked retail, and we had an employee that would hide and take naps inside racks of clothes. Somehow that wasn't the reason we fired her. We fired her for stealing clothes and then wearing them to work. Who boy, I'd have to go with the guy who, in the span of 24 hours, started a fist fight with another employee, on camera, with witnesses, then called the police and said the other guy did it, trying to press charges. I just sent the video. Trespassed on the property the following day and slurred at my boss. On camera, with witnesses. Then called the police and said my boss did it. I just sent the video. Hurt himself somehow and went to the hospital, where he told the doctor he'd been attacked at work. Doc found no injury consistent with his story and well, yeah. Camera. I work at an art studio where we teach classes and sell pottery that our artists make for others to paint. I'm one of the artists and the manager. I started getting a funny feeling about one of my employees. She wasn't doing anything blatantly wrong, just seemed to work really slowly sometimes, request insignificant but kinda odd schedule changes, and have different break habits from the other staff. I started feeling like she was stealing, but this is a really small business, so I didn't have her on camera or any way to really prove it, until she accidentally sent me a video of herself painting pieces that I made from her home. Once I had a guy call in sick to his restaurant per bar shift right before his shift and then proceeded to show up shit-faced drunk for happy hour during the time he was supposed to be working. He was not a bright man. Not me, but my dad. He has a small handyman company with less than a handful of employees. His tools somehow have the habit of growing legs when he's at construction sites, so he rigorously writes his name on everything with permanent marker. One day, shortly after he hired someone new, his folding ruler is missing. He asks around if anyone has seen his folding ruler, but that doesn't seem to be the case. He doesn't think much of it. Sometimes things get lost. The next day he sees the new hire with a familiar-looking folding ruler. He asks him to see it. New hire refuses. Dad tells him that he's his boss and insists he shows him the ruler. He complies under pressure. Sure enough, there's my dad's name on it in capital and bold letters. Now that could have been an honest mistake and there probably wouldn't have been any repercussions if he simply said, "Oh, my bad. Must have put the wrong one in my pocket. Here's your ruler." But the new hire insisted that this was his ruler and that the name on the side of it wasn't my dad's handwriting, but rather a note the new hire had written on it himself to remember my dad's name. What makes it even more stupid is that my dad's company pays for the tools of his employees. He could have simply asked for a folding ruler and my dad would have given him one for free, but no. He needs to steal the boss's folding ruler and give the stupidest lie imaginable as an excuse.